Welcome to today's episode, where we take a closer look at one of the most tragic chapters in modern history, the Khmer Rouge regime in Cambodia. From 1975 to 1979, under the leadership of Pol Pot, Cambodia was transformed into what the regime believed would be a classless agrarian society. But behind this vision lay years of fear, suffering, and loss. Cities were emptied, families were torn apart, and millions were forced into labor camps under brutal conditions. What followed became known as the Cambodian Genocide, leaving deep scars on the nation and its people. So join us as we uncover the story of the Khmer Rouge, how it rose to power, how it changed Cambodia, and why its legacy still matters today. In April 1975, Cambodia entered one of the darkest chapters of its history when the Khmer Rouge, a radical communist movement led by Pol Pot, seized power in Phnom Penh. To many Cambodians who had endured years of civil war and foreign intervention, the arrival of the Khmer Rouge at first brought hope for peace. However, within days, that hope quickly turned into fear and suffering. Pol Pot and his movement believed that Cambodia needed to be transformed into a completely classless agrarian society. To achieve this vision, the Khmer Rouge emptied the cities, forcing millions of people, including families, children, and the elderly, to leave their homes and march to the countryside. Life in these rural collectives was harsh and inhuman. People were made to work long hours in the fields with little food or rest, often under the threat of punishment or death. The Khmer Rouge abolished schools, markets, money, and religion, trying to erase all forms of traditional society and personal freedom. Intellectuals, professionals, monks, and anyone seen as connected to the old government or foreign powers were considered enemies of the revolution. Even wearing glasses or speaking a foreign language could be enough to mark someone for execution. Countless people were taken to prisons such as Tuol Sleng, S21, in Phnom Penh, where they were tortured and later executed. Others died from starvation, overwork, and untreated diseases. Between 1975 and 1979, it is estimated that nearly 2 million Cambodians, about 1/4 of the country's population, lost their lives under the Khmer Rouge regime. This mass suffering became known as the Cambodian Genocide. Families were torn apart, cultural traditions were nearly destroyed, and fear dominated everyday life. The Khmer Rouge's rule came to an end in January 1979, when Vietnamese forces invaded Cambodia and drove Pol Pot's regime from power. Although the nightmare officially ended, the scars it left on Cambodian society remain deep. Survivors carried the trauma for generations, and the nation faced the enormous challenge of rebuilding after such destruction. The Khmer Rouge period stands as a painful reminder of the dangers of extreme ideology and the value of human rights. For Cambodia, remembering this history is essential, so that future generations understand the suffering of the past and continue working to build a peaceful, just, and compassionate society. Thank you for listening to this episode on the Khmer Rouge regime. Between 1975 and 1979, Cambodia lost nearly a quarter of its population. Yet, despite this unimaginable suffering, the spirit of the Cambodian people has endured. By remembering this dark history, we honor the victims and remind ourselves of the importance of human rights, justice, and compassion. Cambodia today continues to rebuild and move forward, carrying lessons from the past into the future. If you found this story meaningful, please subscribe, share it with others, and stay tuned for more episodes where we bring you powerful stories from history and around the world. Until next time, take care, and thank you for joining us.